Okay. Well, first of all, my name is Cheryl Felmley, and I've been a librarian for over 40 years, working in academic libraries. And I've also, for about 2 years, I was a substitute at Somers Library. So that's how I've made the connection with them. But what we wanted to do today is um, talk a little bit about getting rid of the fears of going, particularly to an academic library for students who are heading off to college. Sometimes libraries can seem intimidating. And so we want to just kind of take care of some of those. So I'm going to share my screen now and just do a little presentation first. Okay, can you see that?
I can see that.
Okay, great. It's just a little bit of a presentation, and then I'm going to go into a library, and we'll do some playing around in there. So what I really want students to know is that the library can really be a friendly ally in their whole academic process. And yeah, so today, a little bit of knowledge about how the library works and how to use it can help to get rid of some of the fears. I even have a little children's book about the librarian from the Black Lagoon, and it's about fears of kindergartners or first graders who hear they have to go to the library, and they have all these misperceptions that are alleviated by just a little familiarity. So I want to also point out just some basics of how academic libraries work, to give some ideas about what you can do when you have to start an assignment. And then as I talk, some tips. You walk onto a campus or approach a new library, and it can be intimidating. And students often think of it as just the library is something physical and big and imposing and intimidating. But once you get into it, you find that there are people there who are ready to support you, and librarians are known as a typically friendly sort of people, and we're really there to help out. And for the most part, librarians are very approachable and wanting people to come to talk to them. Libraries try to have inviting spots that are comfortable. Different bodies want to sit at different times when you're studying. You want to sit at the table, or you want to sit in comfortable chairs. I told students at one library where I worked that I bought some chairs so they could take a nap, because sometimes when you're studying hard as a student, you need to have a little power nap. And so, we think about the whole body as well. But thinking about, okay, I have an assignment. So how do I want to approach this assignment now? I think I might have to use the library, but what you want to do is really pay attention to what is the assignment about. Over on the left, here's some ideas. Read this, and talk about it. Choose a topic and discuss the topic. Do a comparison. Sometimes faculty members will say, find 2 articles that are peer-reviewed. And students kind of have an issue with, oh, how do I find, or what are articles, or whatever. Or they might be asked, explore this problem or a particular issue. So what you want to kind of do is match your information to the kind of need that you have. So you may, in the assignment, say, I really don't even know much about the topic, or I just need to understand that a little bit better. I need some background or some definition. And when you need that kind of information, the types of resources that you go to are the reference resources. Reference books are encyclopedias or dictionaries, and it's not just the Wikipedia online or the Encyclopedia Britannica, but there are specific subject encyclopedias and dictionaries in all kinds of topics. And so you can go into a dictionary of the history of Africa or an encyclopedia of social media and find some really solid, well-supported information about the topic that you're looking for that gives you the kind of background information that you need. That's reference resources. But sometimes I just need more, better understanding. I need a fuller conversation, a bigger discussion. I need to hear different concepts about the topic that are talked about in a context. That's what books do for us, particularly the academic books that you're going to find in a college or university library, or in any library in the nonfiction sections. They're going to talk about the topic. It doesn't mean that you always have to read the whole book. You can go into the table of contents, you can go into the index and find the particular aspect of the topic that you want to read about, but you still get to see it in the context. And then sometimes you just need a little bit more focus or a little color. When you think of a news broadcast, you have the news anchors that are sitting at the desk and they're talking about the news program, the news of the day, and they give you the whole picture of what happened, and they move from one topic to another. That's almost like what books do for you. But when they want to give you just a little bit more interest to a particular topic, they go out to the reporter on the field who has a microphone in his hand, and they stick the microphone in the face of someone and say, tell me, give me your take on watching this fire that's going on, or you tell me from your particular perspective. That's what articles do for you. They give you focus and a very specific perspective and approach to the topic. You don't get the whole background, you don't get the definitions, you don't get the context, but when you put multiple articles together, you start to see the picture from different perspectives, and you can do comparing and contrasting using those. So kind of knowing those, what the types of information does for you, you can go into the library and look both on site in the library physically and the online aspect of the library. Yes, there's an on-site print reference collection, and online there are content databases that give you some of that same kind of encyclopedic type of knowledge. There are book stacks in the library, and there are ebooks. They don't always duplicate each other. Sometimes we have both, the same book in both places, but it's not a one or, it's both and in terms of exploring all the book resources that a library has. And then when you want to get to articles, those are articles that are published in periodicals. And when I use the word periodical, that just means that something that comes out on a regular basis rather than a book that is just published once. Magazines are the most familiar part of periodicals. When you go into a Barnes and Noble store, you'll see all the magazines. on the shelf, and you can pick up and see what's the monthly information on this particular topic. And sometimes people subscribe still to magazines. In the academic world, a journal comes out regularly like a magazine does, but the content is scholarly and relates to academic information. Often researchers at colleges and universities do their research, and then they write the results of their research, and that gets published in journals. The journals are then picked up by companies that say, we want to let students know that all of these articles exist. And so they compile the information into a database. And we'll talk about databases a little bit more later on. We also, in the library, there are media collections. You can find some DVDs, special collections, maybe some images, photographs, and you have the same thing in the online part of the library, where you have streaming media and images. So on site, I kind of like to think of the library sometimes as an iceberg. Not that it's going to sink you if you run into it, but the fact that most students, when they talk about the library, they think of the visible part of the library that they can see. The building itself, the things that are in the building, the people who are in the building, the study spaces. They think of books, media, maybe the computer lab or the information lab that's in the library, the technology. That's part of the library, but that kind of invisible part, the digital part of the library, is often also very much a part of the library. It provides content, it has different kinds of media, but there are digital guides to how to use the content, how to access the content. Librarians provide tutorials for how to use it. There's all kinds of links and connections, maybe connections through the guides to other websites that would be useful to you. So this is kind of a broader picture of what the library is, rather than just that physical part of it. If the library is an iceberg, we have competitors. Google is one of the larger competitors. So I think of it as the Google iceberg and the library iceberg. And there are appropriate times to go to both or either. What I'd like to convince you today is to make the library a first stop rather than a second or a side type of stop for accessing information, particularly in an academic setting. The advantages of Google are that it's familiar and it's set up so it's very easy to use. Whereas the library, I think some of the intimidation of the library, and students sometimes feel that it's not quite as easy to use, is because we have structured it, provided a little bit of structure and organization to it so that students feel like they have to figure out what the structure is before they can know how to use it. And that can feel intimidating at times. But as we walk through it today, I think you'll see that a simple search box is a simple search box, whether it's in Google or in the library, and it's going to take you to different kinds of information. In terms of the content that's available, the content from a library has been specifically selected by the institution, related to all the types of programs or courses that they offer. And so there's a lot there, but there's intentionality behind the selection of it as well. In the internet or the Google Cloud type of environment, because it's not as structured, you don't have as many possibilities for limiting your results. So you type a search term in, and you could end up with 1.5 million records, or a couple, tens of thousands of records. And it's kind of frustrating to, I don't want to see all of that. How do I get the better ones that will really help me? And so in library tools and the resources that we have, we provide options for doing the kinds of limiting that can probably help you out a little bit. Sometimes out in the internet environment, we'll find that students bump into paywalls where they see that information is available, but they click on it and it says, well, you have to pay or you don't have access to this. If you go through the library, information is not provided for free, generally speaking. That's why you have those paywalls sometimes. But the databases that the library has selected and it is making available to you, we've already paid for the access. And so you do have access to it. Now, there are still times when you bump into information in a library setting because of the paywalls, and they're a little different. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Okay, let's just move on. So in the process of doing research and learning, this can be true for not just the academic environment, but even in a public library environment. The library is there to be your ally and wanting to unite for a common cause or purpose, and that's for linking you to the information sources that are going to help you. And so we're going to go online and explore a website a little bit, but first, one more little reminder that I want to give you is to remind you that behind all these books, the ebooks, all of the millions of articles that you have access to are the equivalent number of people. So when you go into a library, when you open any of the resources from the library, you're really listening to the person who wrote that content. And it gives you an opportunity to listen to them. And so you wanted to do your listening with respect to their ideas, to their opinions. You want to let them have their say, but in your mind, you still get to have a little bit of a conversation with them. You have. Oh, sorry about that. You get to listen to them and hear them. Sometimes when you read something, you kind of want to argue with them. Or you want to say, boy, I really agree with you. Those are the times that give you the opportunity to go in and listen a little bit better, read the words over again and say, I disagree or I agree with you, but how did you get here, so that you can really understand what it is that they're saying, and give them the credit. And then when you go to use their information, the same thing is true, because that is a person behind those words, you want to properly give them credit. If you use their ideas in a paper that you're writing, you want to give the person whose idea it was the credit, and not just put the words in as though they're yours, or even the ideas as though they're yours, because you're showing respect. Now, when I was thinking about saying this, I'm also beginning to learn a little bit about artificial intelligence, and I'm thinking, one of these days I'm not going to be able to say that everything you read is coming from a person, but for now and for the most part, it still is, and so you're going to want to show that respect. Okay, so we're getting ready to go on. I'm just going to go through a few slides that are some of the things that we're going to talk about, and then just to kind of let you hear it first, then we'll go in and see it, and then that will be at least 2 times that you have heard it. Where are different collections in the library? Yes. So when you go into a new situation, you have your new high school library, you have a new college or university library, you want to explore. So give yourself the invitation and the freedom to go in and go into the library. Where are the different collections? Where's the reference collection? Where's the reserve collection? Where are the journals? Where are the media, the DVDs, or special collections that they might have? The same things online. Where are the different databases? Where are the services in a library? The reserve desk, the circulation desk, the interlibrary loan. Where are the helps and guides? Are there print guides in the library? Where are they in the website? We're going to be looking at the University of Buffalo libraries today. This is just a screenshot in case something didn't work. But here's, libraries have a lot of different information, and you want to explore the homepage of a library so that you're very comfortable with it. You want to get comfortable at the beginning so that when you have to use the library, you already know how to drive it. It's just a matter of getting into the information that you need rather than how do I navigate this library website. Just another reminder that finding information, whether you're doing it in a library or online, is basically a 2-step process. The first step is discovering something that is available out there that you might want to read. And then the second step is getting access to it. In a physical library, you use the catalog, whether it's for a fiction book or a nonfiction title. You use the catalog and search, explore a little bit, identify which book it is that you want to read. And then step 2 is walking to the stacks and pulling the book off the shelf, getting access to it. The same thing's true in the online environment. You use the tools, the databases, the search boxes to discover what it is that you want to read. And then you click on a button or you do another step to actually open the tool or access the book. So you might discover an ebook and then you click on the link so that you can open or download the ebook to be able to read it. The same thing is true with an article. You use a database to discover an article, then you click on the link. Sometimes that step 2 takes an extra step or 2. And hopefully we'll try to make it easy for that to happen. In a catalog search, you've got the library search box. The one main library search box is going to search almost everything in the library, but sometimes doing a global search in everything might be a little bit more than you need, and or it might not be as productive. And so library searching gives you opportunities to kind of narrow your search down or focus in a little bit better with regard to what it is that you're really looking for. So there's advanced searches, the opportunity to scan the results and then apply limiters, such as a date, the most recent 5 or 10 years, or a particular subtopic, or let me just see the ones by a particular author, or whatever. Databases, when we get into it, there are hundreds of databases at large university libraries. I work at a smaller college library, and we even have 70 databases. So you're going to want to select one that's going to be appropriate for you. You can either select a database according to the kind of format that it provides. Remember, we talked about reference resources give you background, books give you context, articles give you focus. So you can choose according to that kind of information, the format, or you can select according to your content, whether it's psychology or education or business or science. And then by vendor, and we'll get into that a little bit later. That's selecting databases. In terms of using the database information, or using the databases themselves, you can pay attention. Sometimes if you pay attention to the vendor or the source of databases, libraries frequently subscribe to a certain number of databases from one particular vendor. And so you search them very similarly. Some of the big vendors are EBSCO, ProQuest, Gale. Those are 3 of the largest. And if you know how to search in one EBSCO database, it's going to feel very similar searching in another EBSCO database. And then when you move over to ProQuest, you learn the features of those kinds of search engines. And if you just understand, oh, this is coming from that vendor, I know how to search here, it helps you to feel a little bit more comfortable with the searching. Again, playing around, exploring the options for expanding or narrowing your searches is something to play around with at the beginning. When you're just learning how things work, so that you don't feel the frustration later on. I have to do this and I have to do it within a week and I don't know how to start. If you've done your exploration in the beginning, you'll feel a lot better. Databases have unique features related to the content, and I'll show you some of those. For example, psychology, a psychology database is going to let you limit your search according to the population, whether you're working with children or young adults or seniors. A business database might give you company information. You're not going to find that in a psychology database. And so each type of specific database has a feature. So what are the features that are available to you? And then the databases also give you options for citing and downloading, things he can do with a resource. And before we get into the database, just another word about librarians. Just again, we're approachable. You know Tara, you know the Somers librarians, you know your high school librarian. The academic librarians really want you to get to, they really want to help you, and they do not mind if you come to them with questions. So absolutely approach them and get to know one or two of the librarians so that you feel comfortable talking to them. Librarians understand the research process. They understand the concepts of discovery and access. They know how to get information from other sources or libraries that if it's not in your library, they know how to help you get it from other libraries. They know how to help you to evaluate what you found so that you can determine whether it's current enough, whether it's reliable, whether it's authoritative, whether it's accurate, and whether it's appropriate to your purpose. They also know how to help you use information properly. Back to the concept of it's the words of people, so that you want to handle those with care and with respect. They know about citation styles. When you get into academia and you have to write a paper for this or that, sometimes they'll talk about MLA style or APA style or Chicago style. Librarians understand the different formats and can help to walk you through that as well. Okay, so let me just get out of this. Any questions so far? That's a lot of information. But again, I see this, I don't think you're going to, I don't expect you to remember everything that I've said. It's kind of an overview, and I hope I'm walking you through just some things that can help you to feel a little bit more comfortable about using an academic library. Okay, so we are now at the University of Buffalo University Libraries. Notice it says libraries. University of Buffalo actually has, I think, 5 or 6 different libraries. But let's just take a look at their website. The tabs across here, when you come to a library, you're going to want to find materials. So we'll go through some of these, the kinds of materials. Again, a search box that can help you to find everything. And when we get on that, it's going to have tabs for the library catalog, that's what's in the library itself. Select an opportunity to select from one of the hundreds of databases. Taking a look at the journals. Sometimes you just want to see the journals, or faculty members might ask you to look for a journal in your area, and the journal site can help you with that. Newspaper. Course reserves are, sometimes people get reference and reserves confused because they're separate collections and they both start with RE. Reference are the books that you refer to, encyclopedias, dictionaries, etc., handbooks. Reserves are materials that faculty have asked the library to pull into a separate collection so that everybody in the class has access to it. Often you use course reserves the print course reserves within the library, your campus management within each course. Sometimes the faculty members will have reserved materials linked and links in there for you. Using the libraries, this is more about using the physical library. What are the services? What are the features that you can expect from your particular library? Research help. I talked about research guides and tips. There is a company that helps libraries to produce, it's called LibGuides, library guides, LibGuides. And so a lot of libraries take advantage of the LibGuides company to come up with guides that help students. So they might have guides, a guide for a subject. Let's say you wanted to study literature. This particular library has 23 different guides that help students with literature. And if you go in, you can see, like here's a Shakespeare guide. So anyone who wants to is in a course on Shakespeare and needs some help with that, here's a starting place for them to understand that. You also have guides by type. In this particular situation or a campus, sometimes faculty members will ask librarians to produce a guide for a specific course. And so you can go in and there's a course and it gives you, here are places to go for that. Okay, so that's just a little bit of exploring the website of the library. So let's go in and take a look at searching for materials. Now, in this particular library, the search box is going to allow you to search for anything, or actually anything and everything. They actually describe here what they mean by everything at University of Buffalo, online resources, articles. Here's what they mean by all of those different options that they give. And you can search it, type of search in. Let's do climate change. And here are our results for climate change. And we came up with over 5.5 million results. Okay, that's as bad as Google in this particular one. And the first one is not even in a language possibly that we can understand. So what do you do with that? Like I said, one of the benefits of library searches is that we have filters and the opportunity to refine your search and narrow it down a little bit. Let's say in this particular case, we only want books. We just want to see what are the books that we have access to. So we'll include that. And we only want books. I don't want to wait a long time. I just want the ones that are actually held by my library. And I am going to say, let me just change my date here to from 1921 on. And then you can do that search. and you have limited it down. So it has taken you from, it's gotten rid of 5 million records. You still have a lot of resources here, and there are still additional ways to limit it, but you can see that those tools can be very helpful to limit. That's just a little basic information. Notice over here that there is an advanced search option, and using the advanced search allows you to put multiple terms at a time. You could do climate change and sustainability, and that narrows it because we've added a new term into the topic. Okay, so that's just a little bit basic searching. Again, play around with it. Search for something that you're really interested in before you have to write do your research or write a paper. Just a hobby or an area of interest at the beginning of each semester. Go in and play around with some concepts in each of the courses that you're taking, and just see how it plays around. Play around with it a little bit. Okay, now let's just go into the databases and take a look at some of the databases and the options that you have. I talked about the LibGuides, and a lot of libraries use the LibGuide, and you have this, you either tabs on the top or tabs on the side that organize this tool or these tools for you, and provide a way to narrow down the types of information. If we were to look at all of the databases at the University of Buffalo libraries, there's several hundred. Well, how in the world do you choose that? Well, there's a possibility. I talked about choosing by format or choosing by subject. Let's take a look at the subject and start with that. You have an alphabetical list of the subjects that are available, and you can scroll through that alphabetically, and you can see, okay, biology. There's 24 databases in biology. Or communication. They have 2 listed in that. Let's just look in, let's see. Let's take a look at psychology. There are 7 databases, so let's click on that and find the list of 7 databases that are available for you to search in psychology. Now, these 2 say APA, they're coming from the American Psychological Association. But the first one, and often you're going to see something like Academic Search Complete or something that is an academic complete database. This is a multidisciplinary database. So it has all the disciplines included. This is the library's primary academic database, so that sometimes you might have a topic that goes over disciplines. Let's think about our climate change. You might want to approach that from the biological or environmental aspect, or you might want to look at it from a business perspective, or the sociological impact, or the the international policy aspect of it. So there's a lot of different perspectives. And you can either go into a specific database for each of those, or you can start with a comprehensive multidisciplinary search and see what you find with that. Just to explain what multidisciplinary is. Then we have some subject-specific databases for psychology. And here we have a streaming video. So what they're saying by including it here is that you're going to find academic videos about psychology in this particular database. And there are some others. So let's select one of these databases and go in. I happen to know, well, let's see how, we'll go into the PsycInfo database. And here we are. You notice that we're in an EBSCO database. So that's any EBSCO database that we look at, you're going to be able to use and search the same way. As a matter of fact, they even give you an opportunity to see all of the EBSCO databases that this particular institution has access to. So you actually can search all of these databases. You could select all of them and search all of them simultaneously, or you could just select them. Let's say we're interested on, we chose psychology. So let's use the APA PsycInfo and PsycArticles. And we will also include that multidisciplinary database so that we can be searching those at the same time. So we'll get the in-depth from the psychology perspective, but we'll get the broader perspective, multidisciplinary, from the academic search complete. And we'll select those databases and we can do our search. And let's look for social media and teens, or adolescents, or young adults. And we'll enter that search. Again, once we've done our search, here you have the possibilities to, over on the left-hand side, to refine. Notice the refining by date works a little bit differently in this particular one. It just has a simple slide bar. You don't have to type the date in. You can slide it over to from 2010 to 2023. And when you look at these, this particular database, the results that are showing up, sometimes you'll see, remember I talked about the two-step process, discovering and then accessing. Okay, we've entered our search term. We have a list of results. We've discovered information that's available. Here's a particular title. Let's say we're interested in this one. How do we access it? Oh, there's a PDF. We can just click on that link and it's open and accessible to us immediately. Whereas this one says, okay, it's not available in this particular database. Yeah, so the step 2 isn't just click on the link that's there, but you have an opportunity to click here to see if the library has access to it through another source. And it will look for that to determine whether it's available through a different source. This particular one is a dissertation, so you probably would be able to get it through a dissertation source as well. So again, just realizing the two-step process helps you sometimes to get to what you want. Okay, now, how do I get back to? Okay. Let's go back to our results list. And let's go into a particular article. Let's find one that has full text available. Sometimes you just need something and you want to find the best, but you're not doing a really deep, in-depth research. So sometimes it's okay to just limit to what's easily available for me now, so that step 2, click on the link, is the way to go. But you have to decide when you're doing your research whether that's what you if that's going to be okay for you. Let's take a look at this particular record. There's more information in the record. So we're just going to click on the title and we'll see information about that title. And you can see subject terms that are related to the title. Sometimes those subject terms can really help you. We put in social media and teenagers, but you might have been thinking about, like the cyberbullying aspect of that. And you look, there's a search term that you can use. So sometimes those subject terms help you to narrow your topic and kind of focus in on what you're researching a little bit better. Also, these databases provide tools over on the right. I have to move some things so I can see. They provide tools. If you're doing a lot of research, you can add something to a folder. You can email it to yourself. You can learn how to give the proper citation for a bibliography or a footnote. Sometimes they'll offer a permalink, and that permalink is the quickest way to get to a particular online resource, an ebook or a page, a website page, or an article. Or so there's just a lot of tools to explore and to see that they're available for you. Okay, well, we've covered a lot of information, and do you have any questions?
I don't think I have any questions, but I'll definitely keep all of this in mind for later in high school and in college. So thank you.
Okay, well,
I don't have any questions. I learned a couple of things, but
okay. Good.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
All right.
thank you,
Thank you.
Cheryl.
You're welcome.